An AI just disproved a math conjecture humans couldn't crack for 80 years. Today, May 23rd, 4 stories from this week that reset the entire AI baseline. Story 1. OpenAI's model autonomously cracked an 80-year-old math problem. Story 2. China's Qwen 3.7 Max landed ahead of Gemini 3.5 Flash. Story 3. Google's Gemini Omni shipped conversational video editing. Story 4. Cursor Composer 2.5 matched Claude Opus 4.7 coding at 1/10 the cost. 10 minutes, 8 primary sources, 0 hype. Story 1, May 20th. OpenAI announced that one of its general-purpose reasoning models autonomously disproved a math conjecture posed by Paul Erdős in 1946. The unit distance problem. Open for 80 years, the model got the problem, wrote a 125-page proof. No step-by-step human guidance. No completion of a partial proof. The first time AI has autonomously solved a central open problem in any major math subfield. OpenAI's own announcement was titled, quote, "An OpenAI model has disproved a central conjecture in discrete geometry," end quote. The model used deep algebraic number theory, Golod-Shafarevich theory, infinite class field towers, constructed an infinite family of point configurations that beats the square grid bound by a polynomial factor. This is not a chatbot trick, this is mathematics. 80 years, that is how long the conjecture stood. Erdős posed it in 1946. Every leading combinatorialist has worked on a variant, nobody had touched the bound, until this model produced a 125-page proof in a single autonomous run. That is the headline. 80 years of mathematics undone in one inference window. Explain X published the deep dive. The proof improves on the standard square grid bound by a polynomial factor n to the 1 plus delta unit distance pairs for some fixed delta greater than 0. That sounds technical. The plain English is, the previous best human result was a slow growing function. The AI's bound is materially larger for every n forever. Here is the validation that matters. Tim Gowers, Fields Medal winner, called the result, quote, "a milestone in AI mathematics," end quote. Noga Alan, Princeton, one of the most cited combinatorialists alive, called the solution, quote, "an outstanding achievement," end quote. Both reviewed the proof. Wrote a companion paper. The result is real. Read this line, 80 years of mathematics, undone in one inference window. AI just stopped being a research assistant. It became a research peer. That is the moment the math community is processing this week, quietly, carefully, but unambiguously. Story 2. May 20th and 21st, the Alibaba Cloud Summit in Hangzhou. Alibaba unveiled Qwen 3.7 Max, China's new flagship reasoning model. The headline, Intelligence Index v4.0 score, 56.6, that puts it 5th globally. First in China, ahead of Google's Gemini 3.5 Flash. Read that twice. A Chinese open-weight ecosystem just outscored a Google frontier model. Office Chai broke the ranking story first. Qwen 3.7 Max is now the highest placed Chinese model on the Artificial Analysis Index. Period. The ranking is built from 16 benchmarks combined. Reasoning, coding, math, knowledge, multilingual. The composite score does not lie. Qwen scored higher than Gemini 3.5 Flash, higher than Claude Sonnet 5, higher than every model trained outside the United States. 56.6 the composite score, 92.4 on GPQA Diamond, ahead of Claude Opus 4.6 Max, 97.1 on HMMT 2026, the highest score in its comparison group, 80.4 on SWE-Verified, statistically tied with Opus 4.6 Max, and here is the spec that matters most, 1 million token context window, same as Gemini, and here is the spec that nobody outside the labs is talking about. Hallucination rate, 22.9%, the lowest reported number among frontier models. Claude is around 25%, GPT 5.5 is around 27%, Qwen 3.7 Max hallucinates less than every model people in the West are paying for at $2.50 per million input tokens with 90% cash discount. Here is the line worth screenshotting. The gap between Chinese and US frontier models is no longer measured in quality, it is measured in deployment friction, export controls, a PI geography, compliance. The pure capability gap, the thing the entire Western AI narrative has been built on for 3 years, just got priced at 0 by Qwen 3.7 Max. Story 3, May 19th at Google I/O, Sundar Pichai and Demis Hassabis unveiled Gemini Omni, Google's multimodal video generation model. The feature that matters is not the generation quality, it is conversational editing. Type or speak what you want changed. Remove the person in the background, make the lighting warmer, replace the narrator's voice. Omni re-renders the video. Live. The tech portal covered the rollout. Gemini Omni is shipping across the Gemini app, Google Flow, and YouTube. 2 days later, on May 21st, Google announced integrations with Adobe, Canva, and CapCut. That is the creative tooling for over 1 billion users, compressed into one chat window. Google did not ship the best video model, Google shipped the most integrated one. Different bet entirely. Here is the honest read. On raw cinematic quality, Gemini Omni is not the best. ByteDance's CDance 2 leads the Artificial Analysis Video Arena leaderboard. ELO 1269 first globally, ahead of Qwen 3, Veo 3.1, and Sora 2. Omni trails, but on workflow integration, with the Google stack, with Adobe, Canva, CapCut, Omni is alone at the top. The capability war and the distribution war are now different wars. Best model wins benchmarks, best distribution wins users. In 2026, those are no longer the same product. ByteDance has the model, Google has the distribution. 6 months ago, that distinction did not exist. Now it is the central strategic question every AI founder needs to answer. Where you sit on the model versus distribution axis is your moat. Story 4, May 18th, Cursor officially launched Composer 2.5, their in-house coding model, built on Moonshot's Kimi K 2.5 base, trained with 25 times more synthetic coding tasks than the previous version, plus a new targeted reinforcement learning technique. The benchmark numbers landed where almost nobody expected. Cursor's own announcement was titled, quote, Introducing Composer 2.5, end quote. The headline benchmark, SWE-Bench Multilingual 79.8%. That is on par with Claude Opus 4.7, on par with GPT 5.5. The two flagship coding models in the industry. Composer 2.5 matched both, at a fraction of the price. 50 cents per million input tokens, $2.50 per million output. That is the standard tier, roughly 1/10 the per task cost of Claude Opus 4.7, roughly 1/10 the cost of GPT 5.5. For the same coding benchmark scores, the math is brutal. If Composer 2.5 is good enough for your workflow, you are throwing away 9 out of every $10 on the alternatives. The new stack reported the deeper story the same week. Cursor, Claude Code, and Codex are not consolidating into one tool. They are merging into one stack. High-velocity teams now run all three. Cursor for daily feature work, Claude Code for architectural changes, Codex for automated workflows. The future of AI coding is not picking one tool. It is composing three. The AI coding war is not being won by one tool. It is being won by the team that orchestrates the three best ones. Cursor for speed, Claude Code for depth, Codex for automation. The single tool era is over. The orchestration era just started. And Composer 2.5 at 1/10 the cost is what made the math work. Pull all four together. Reasoning. OpenAI just proved AI can do original mathematics. Frontier ranking, China's Qwen 3.7 Max just outscored Gemini 3.5 Flash. Distribution, Google's Gemini Omni just shipped video into the Adobe, Canva, CapCut creative stack. Cost. Cursor Composer 2.5 just delivered frontier coding at 10% of the price. 4 different layers, 4 different winners, no monopoly forming. Builder takeaway, stop betting on the lab, bet on the layer. Reasoning at OpenAI, frontier cost at Qwen, distribution at Google, coding at Cursor, compose them. The single vendor AI stack is dead, the composable stack is the new default. The product team that figures out how to route the right query to the right model in real time wins 2026, not the team that picks one lab and prays. 3 things to watch over the next 30 days. 1. Whether OpenAI's math model is the only one that can solve open problems, or whether DeepMind and Anthropic respond. 2. Whether US export controls are tightened in response to Qwen 3.7 Max overtaking Gemini 3.5 Flash. 3. whether Cursor Composer 2.5's price floor forces Anthropic and OpenAI to cut Claude Code and Codex pricing, all three rewrite the leaderboard for the year. And AI just cracked 80-year-old math. China just outscored Google. Google just shipped video into every creator tool you use, and the cheapest serious coding model now matches the most expensive ones. 4 layers, 1 week. If this is the kind of AI news you want every day. The subscribe button is right here. Watch next. Our breakdown of how Microsoft just armed the other side. For ANN Live, this is AI News Now, proof, not press releases.